And a great performance from the number 66 Tianji racing team, the Audi R8 LMS, with Max Visa, with Alex Au and Huyen Chen. Gentlemen, you were in contention all day there, at least until the final hour. Remind me, because it's been a long day, who started the car? Max did. Yes. Max, you headed for the hills.
Let's say at the start I had the most exciting time on this race because I fought with Ollie almost for all the time until we found one P2 and P3 that makes our life a bit more complicated. But I really enjoy it. The car was very well balanced. Unfortunately, sometimes the races are not going as you wish. We've been penalized for our mistakes. So we lost a good opportunity to get the first place, I want to say, because without our penalization and our mistakes, we should be in the first place. I'm happy about the pace, but I think we have to work a bit harder on pit stop and somewhere else.
It's a learning year for the team, and you know, you should be proud of yourselves for stepping up for a full season with this effort. This is a big step forward, the performance this weekend, though.
Well, let's say this track is fitted better to our car than Fuji and Zhuhai. We are still working on the setup because with the mission we don't have a lot of data and information from other championships, so we have to discover everything by ourselves. The test that we had on Tuesday, it helped us a lot, and then we are still working.
Alex was next to the car, correct?
No.
Okay. And it was still looking very good. You were holding that gap. The AI guys had got the message that it was not going to be a walkover. Take us through your stint.
Yes, but as Max has said, unfortunately, I think this time it was all looking good, but it all comes down to ourselves, which, I mean, it's racing, and the stuff that we did good in the previous race could also happen to be not so good this race. So I think this is exactly what happened, because we improved those areas where we really need to improve, lap time, whatever, but then there's some other things which I think we did quite well before, but now maybe we need to pay more attention, and I think maybe we overlook it, like the pit stop practice or something. I mean, we did practice, but there's just some things that we probably took notice too late, and it was already in the race. So, but I think overall it's good because, as Max has said, we have a very strong pace, and the improvements is always good.
And what's your expectation coming into the final round, Sepang, a circuit you know?
For me personally, because this track is already new, and then Sepang will also be new, so I think it's about learning and really maximize the limited time we have, because this time we had this opportunity to test, but that's not always the case. So I think we have collected more data from this tire and this car that we combination so far. So I think we should be very competitive again.
I'll finish with Alex. Good run. Enjoy the race.
Last time I was in Asia Le Mans, I was driving a P2, and today I learned that I prefer overtaking cars than being overtaken. Not very good at being overtaken. Yeah, I had a lot of track limit warnings because I was being too nice and brake and stay offline, and people just push me off the track. So sometimes, yeah. So by the time I drove the car, I had some downshift problem, probably due to my driving style, and I was overshooting a lot of corners. Unfortunately, they were never deliberate track limit offenses, but we got to drive through because of that. And that was the sort of first mess up for the 6-hour race. So.
Either way, it was a convincing performance, guys. I certainly enjoyed it. Well done. We'll move to the winning crew, and we have 2 of the 3 drivers. Let's start with Chaz. Chaz, that was like deja vu from Zhuhai. You got in, I think you were 2.5 minutes behind, and you just started grinding away at that.
Yeah, it was a big gap to try and catch up. It's kind of always tricky when different strategies for different driver lineups, you know. So we started San, our bronze guy, and these guys started their silver guys and pulled a nice gap. So I think we're probably a bit better like an Aussie dingo. We like to kind of chase instead of be the person getting chased, and yeah, put our head down. And I think the biggest thing this weekend is we probably struggled with the car all the way up to qualifying, but then got the car back in the window. So it was pretty tricky on myself and obviously on San. Jesse just drives anything, he's just a superhero, but it was, yeah, for me with the more miles I'm getting with the M6, it was quite tricky outside the window. So it was good to get straight into the race and the car feel back to where it was. And like I said, tricky for San because he was not very comfortable in the practices with the car, and then he did some pretty mega laps there for himself in the race. So he basically, in the second stint, set the race up for us.
Excellent stuff. It was a great stint from you. I've got one question to ask, which is, you are doing Sepang, yes?
No, I'm not.
You're Bathurst?
No, I got the Bathurst 12 hours. So yeah, I've enjoyed my time in the Asian Le Mans series. It's a shame not to go to the 4th round and do them all. I think these guys have a good shot at obviously taking out the championship. And yeah, this guy, he just chucked my helmet on and I'm sure double stint, quadruple stint, do whatever he has to. He's just a superstar. So I've had a great time. It's been fantastic. I'd love to come back and do it again at the end of this year. Hopefully there's some more cars here because you know, there's some great tracks and great experiences, and everyone down pit lane is very, very nice. So yeah, hopefully I get an invitation back. I'd love to come do some more.
You'll be very welcome. We'll pass over to Jesse Krohn, who had to attack the end of that race and did so with customary style. So which superhero are you then, Jesse?
No,
is it Iron Man?
I didn't really have to attack. These guys set it up for me. It's been great having Chaz here. It hasn't been easy for him. Obviously, all the tracks are new, and our strategy has sort of been to give more laps to our bronze guy to get him up to speed. So always with the very limited track time, he's always done a mega job, and I hope it's not the last time we race together. It's a shame we can't have him in Sepang, but we have another guy who is hopefully can fill his big boots.
Can we be told yet who that is, or are we got to wait?
We're going to wait. We're going to have to wait.
That's fair enough. We like it. But you had to fight this time.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. Obviously, it's never easy winning. We had to push hard to catch the gap after the beginning. And yeah, both guys just did a great job. So to be honest, I didn't really stress about where we were on track. I just drove normal.
Either way, a good win, more points on the board, and we move on to the final round. We'll move to returning Asian Le Mans Series competitors and sole occupants for this moment at least in the GT Cup class, Team NZ. Who should we start with? Let's start with John.
Thank you.
John, it's great to see the old lady back. I mean the car, by the way.
Yeah.
But this is coming towards the end of its career.
It is. It's likely that it won't see another season after 2018, but we'll probably still hold on to it. Yeah.
Now, did you enjoy the last race, I guess, here with it?
The last race here?
With the car, with this car.
Yeah. Look, Asian Le Mans Series in general, whether it's sprint or endurance, is a fantastic weekend, and you know the Porsche 997 is pretty bulletproof for endurance. So yeah, been a very fun weekend all around.
We'll turn to Will before we have a chat with Graham. Will, I know it wasn't quite the order, but we'll come to that. It really had to be a race against the clock with the one car in the class, but what were the targets you set for yourselves today?
Yeah, obviously it's a bit disappointing not to have too many other competitors today. But no, I mean, these two guys here, they're coming out after 3 or 4 months out of the seat, so always setting some personal targets, and particularly when you're racing yourself, just get a full stint in and no mistakes. We had a few whoopsies in practice. I think Graham's leading the tally at the moment, but yeah, so they all had clean stints, so that was really perfect. And looking after the car and bringing it back, it's the first one for the year for everybody. And like what the other guys said as well, you know, being the slowest car on the track also has its own challenges. So to have them to push hard and then not to get in the way of others, and then try and also look after yourself at the same time, it's nice. It's a different side of the racing as well.
Now, I bumped into, I'm not going to say big bruv, but older bruv at the final round of the Sprint Cup, and he was telling us potential plans, quite exciting, about if we get an opportunity to get to GT Cup class together again for Sprint Cup and the Asia Le Mans Series.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential here in the series, and there's a lot of other Cup cars in the region. It just needs to be formulated really well, and then if we can get everybody together, and I think it'd be some really good racing. Like I said, there's some really good tracks here as well. So just hopefully everyone can come together and have a nice little party.
We'll wrap it up with Graham. Graham, the car did have a moment or two in the garage, didn't it?
Yeah, in Will's stint, about halfway through, I think 5th gear was binding up a little, so we brought it in and did a few rotations and sent it back on its way. During my stint, we just tried to keep the gearbox temp down, but it came through, so all good.
2 questions. Tell us about your time out there, and I also want to ask about what you'd say to other people who've got cars like this about the appeal of this series.
It's a great format. It lets you know, us bronze drivers get out there and enjoy racing with you know, silver, gold drivers. Mixing it with LMP2, 3 GT3 cars, it's a great format. Encourage, you know, other guys to get out there and have a crack. It's really good fun. Lots of track time.
Boys, thanks very much. It was entertaining stuff all afternoon. We will see you, almost all of you, at Sepang.
Thank you.